Hey everyone, just a quick one-take Jake Johnson video here, following up on a story that I covered from a while ago, over 4 months now, where Sandstorm, who is our greatest player ever, retired from Brawlhalla, citing primarily a lack of passion for the game. It wasn't bad news at the time, it was certainly bittersweet, but today, things are looking a bit different. If you aren't aware, Brawlhalla had their yearly World Championships last weekend, where Impala took the 1v1 trophy and the team of Boomy and Snowy took the 2v2 one. It was the first World Championship back in person since 2019 and the first open LAN in well over 3 years. And I'm mentioning all of this because Sandstorm was in attendance. He traveled to the event and competed with however high expectations you can have while still being in retirement, and considering all of that, he did quite well. But I think what's more important than that performance is being there. Being in that live crowd, boots on the ground with the community all around you. It's just magical, and it seems like Sandstorm was feeling that magic because he just announced that he is officially coming back to competing in Brawlhalla, reinvigorated after experiencing a wonderful, passion-fueled event. There's that keyword again, and it seems like that's a common through line in both the competitive scene and the viewers from the casual side. In many ways, it feels like BCX, the Worlds, was something we really needed without kind of realizing it. It's so easy to disassociate the real humans from the online entity of Blue Mammoth gamers when we've been locked in for eternity now. Probably half of you guys' entire Brawlhalla experience has been relegated to the Pandoozy, but when you see how much love they put in, I mean, it's called the Brawlhalla Championship Expo. It's fully their event. It's hard not to be drawn into something special. We're not just a small game that spawned into a genre with literally only one dominating title, but a small indie game that spawned into a genre with only one dominating title. And here we are, some 7 years later, with the biggest and best event yet. I mean, they spent what, like $1 million on the production of the event alone, something like that? A million? That is a lardo number. Anyway, back to Sandstorm. It's just awesome to see. He is by far the most influential competitive player, someone who pushed the scene the furthest, and without a single doubt, the statistical greatest player we have ever had. So having him back is great. And to extrapolate a little bit here, I don't think this situation is alone. That's really good grammar. Or necessarily unique in terms of reasoning. COVID, burnout, fatigue, it's hit all of us. Beyond just the game, of course, it can make previously thrilling, fun things seem anhedonic, if that's a word. I'm trying to say that it mutes colors and turns them gray. And this is something that, as a cohort of people, we all have made it through, at least if you're listening, and hopefully made it through mostly okay. I think it's taught us a lot about valuing experience, valuing people, and handling uncertainty, both externally, of course, and internally too. And from that, I think it's been really important to celebrate the things that are positive, because otherwise it can be very easy to see everything as cringe and drab. And if I can insert myself in here a little bit, it was hard, very hard, for a long time to feel like I had any kind of forward momentum or even momentum at all. I've talked at some lengths here about some pretty deep-seated anxiety, not gonna get into that, but right when it felt like I was making some meaty progress for the first time a few years ago, the world stood still. And ghost towns, fear, death, right in front of your eyes at all parts of the day. So climbing out of that, finding the things that bring you joy and satisfactions, the things that pull you out of those yucky trenches so much that suddenly you're looking around a moment later and the sun is down and you've been goofing for 6 hours straight. It's nice. It's nice to be able to develop skills and identity and confidence in your own little flesh prison, because it's the only one you got, far as I know. Maybe all of you are clones controlled by a central unit is what I meant. Who knows though? Who knows? Passion slipping away and the ephemerality of emotions, if that's also a word, that's all normal. That's just how we're biologically built, how life plays out. But when that's induced from something outside on a scale that we can't even really comprehend, it's unfortunate, to say the least. So gripping the steering wheel heavy and lurching the car back around is a victory. And it's something to be happy and proud about. I've talked to Boomy, Pugsy, Remy, yada yada yada, and all of us agree that Impala in BCX Grand Finals this year was the highest level of singles brawlhalla play we have ever seen. Boomy in top 4 of BCX2s was the highest level of brawlhalla doubles play we have ever seen. And it's just cool to, at least in some regard, be back to how things once were, full of spirit, heart, vigor, chairs being tossed left and right. This is a big moment for brawlhalla. One single person coming back, I mean, yeah, if that person's our GOAT, then that's a big deal, but beyond that even, it feels like we're starting to recolor those grays a little bit, and I hope I'm a part of that. I want to leave you with something that I've learned recently, and I think is pretty relevant here. At the very least, it's popping out in my mind and telling me to say it, so it's about compounding effects. Because we've all heard that thing about how our prefrontal cortex is rapidly developing until we're 25 or whatever, so don't do drug. But the flip side of that means we're pretty malleable. Brain plasticity and all that. And assuming that the majority of y'all, it might not be, but it probably still applies, are in this middle school to university age range, now is a golden time period where you might, for the very first time, have the brain power, the mind faculties to understand yourself and control a bit of what you do, and have this great deal of power to influence who you're going to be in the future. Because when you're a little kid, you're also rapidly developing the prefrontal cortex, synaptic genesis, pruning, whatever, but you don't know what's going on. I sucked my thumb till I was 34. So there's this concept known as utilization deficiency, which in short basically means that we are really bad at new strategies and new techniques, new skills that we have no prior memory to draw from, which is intuitive and kind of obvious. We suck at new things and are better at things we've done, but I mention it because the reverse of this is also true. Sometimes the only thing you need to do to get better at something, to make it easier, is just to do it, and do it enough until it's in your memory. You don't need to be perfect at it, you don't need to be naturally gifted or inclined. Imagine trying to learn algebra or calculus before knowing addition or subtraction, and then getting like really frustrated and mad at yourself and judging yourself, even though how you supposed to, elementary school. And that's what we do to ourselves all the time. We think that, oh, I should already know how to do this, but steps 1 and 2 that are difficult, they are really difficult to start out with, we haven't even tried that yet, or started on that yet, and we think that we need to be perfect all the time. I say we, maybe I'm talking about me. But stuff like that is all about slowly acquiring EXP points and building yourself up until aptitude and opportunity cross their little piss streams, and suddenly you have this big wave of progress where it all clicks and it seems like you're qualitatively a different person than you were just a short while ago. But really, it's all built on the back of what you've done before, the brick and mortar that you've laid. So the most important thing you can do for yourself is not give up. Everyone's spawn difficulty and perk and debuff sliders at the start are different, and sometimes the wall just gets thrown at you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Everything is grim. But if there's a chance that there's a tiny little pocket you can operate in, where maybe the dials that are turned to 11 all the time can be brought down to an 8, and then maybe 7, 6, and a moment, a singular moment, experience, whatever, that brings the person out of the husk shell, then hold on to those. And if you can, use those as tools to remember that something like that is possible. Leaping off points, I don't know. The good old BH has been involved in a chunk of my life for a while, so I guess Worlds recently has me reflecting on where I was entering the darkness and how it feels to take some steps out of that tunnel. That's probably why it popped into my head, but also that was all sarcasm and parody, and I think I blacked out for a while there. Sandstorm train is back, baby!